There's other feelings about being the modern dad. Leave him alone. Don't dictate conversations with men. All right. Hey, oh, there you are, Zelis. This is Conversations with Men That Women Want to Hear. And I am producing this show, so I'm just like, okay, there we go. I'm producing and hosting, and it's a little bit wild. So this is Conversations with Men That Women Would Want to Hear. And it's a show about men, frustrations that men have, mainly the modern dad, what's going on today in this world with this culture and how women are today. So I'm Angeline Longshore, and I'm here with Zelis Daniel, my co-host. Hi, Zelis.
How's it going?
Good. So you can hear me. Cool.
I'm doing pretty good today. Yep.
Good.
We're good to go here.
I love that yellow background.
Yeah.
All right. So today we're talking about entitlement. Women, this feeling that they are just entitled. And, we've talked about last week the independent nature of women and that they can just do everything themselves. And then there's this piece about feeling super entitled. So that's seems to be pervasive because of our culture today. It's not like necessarily each woman's personal problem, like she's trying to be entitled necessarily, but there's this permission to be extremely entitled. And so, I think you're experiencing some of that right now, Zelis. Do you want to describe this entitlement and maybe the antagonistic dynamic that it creates?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that, you know, I'm faced with every day. It's like it's almost like I owe her something is the way that it kind of comes across, that it's my responsibility. Since we've had kids, it's my responsibility to be the ATM, and it's my responsibility to do everything that she asks is what it comes down to. It's like, and I think a lot of it has to do with just my partner in general, and her nature, but it definitely seems like it's part of the bigger picture that's happening, where it's like, we're we did our part of making babies, and now they're entitled to tell us what to do, and if we don't do it, they're not gonna get, that's what we have to do. So, and I kind of think that's why a lot of men that have, abandoned their kids and their families have run away, where it's like, it's never going to be enough. I just got to get out of this situation. I don't know. I'm definitely not going to abandon my kids. And I wonder if it's ever going to be enough. That's the question. When is enough enough?
I think there's so many issues with this. Really, I know this is going to be super unpopular to say if any women are watching this, but I believe it comes from feminism, this feminist movement. And I know all you really amazing dads like you, Zealous, really are behind equal rights and, really empowering women. And you want women to like feel equal, have equal rights, feel empowered. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think we went a little bit too far as women in this male energy that we take on. And so the entitlement is almost like resentment from all the years past that women had injustices done to them. I mean, they were really treated like second-class citizens, or even not even citizens necessarily, for the longest time. We all know that. But now, are we women asking men to still pay for what was done, even though men like you are doing everything you can to really support us, to give us our turn, is what I think of it, is like women think, it's my turn now. Men have had their time. Now it's my turn to like go and do what I want to do and follow my dreams. And you take the kids. I'm going to go do my thing. I'm going to go to my spa time. I'm going to see my girlfriends. I'm going to go work out, you know, and the dads are like, sure, sure, go, like you are. And then the women can't get enough. Like you said, when is enough enough? And it's like, when I want women to ask themselves, when do we feel like we've had enough proof that we're actually fine? Like, we don't have to prove that we're equal. We don't have to grab and like pull, tug of war for our time, that our men are actually giving us all the time in the world that we want and supporting us. So why are we acting like this toward them?
Well, if we
Like
look at
so angry?
history, it's going to be a long time that we're in this, because it's like, trying to push is going to mean they're going to have to keep pushing a long distance before it's ever going to like come back to some sort of fair ground. And will it ever be a fair ground? That's kind of like a real question. Are we going to ever be able to just be at this point where we're able to just be like, okay. And I think that's really, a conversation about like society versus relationships, because you can't, hopefully for people that are watching this, hopefully couples can watch this together. It's a situation where, it's conversations with men that women need to hear. But I hope that people that find us are able to share this with their partner, and really try to get some perspective and take away some understanding, and help create balance in their own relationships. Because society is so extreme from one part of the planet to the other. And I think that what we're going through what I'm going through in my life, and I think what you're referencing, is just what's going to happen when they're trying to create some sort of balance. It's you're just pushing the envelope in as far as you can, knowing that you're going to slide back. So it's like, how do we get to that point? And um, I think that's really what we're trying to figure out, and just to understand why people are pushing. Why are women pushing for this? It's like, what is it that you really want? I mean, I think that it's like, I see this with my daughters, that it's like their dream is to like get married and have babies. They're not having this dream of like, I want to, you know, rule the world, or have, I mean, they're still young and little dreamers, but I think that, we all have this idea that is kind of genetically in us of what we want in a relationship, and what our roles are, and what we want to do. And I think there's probably more women out there that want to raise children than there are boys that want to raise children. It's like, when I look at my little kids, my daughters want to like, play with dolls and be little housemakers, and my boy wants to drive cars and play with cars and build things. We're genetically designed to have these desires and skills. And um, I think that there is a lot of this grass is greener in the sexist world that's driving it. I don't know.
Yeah,
What do you think?
it's I think that you're so right in that. There's part of the issues that we're born certain ways as men and women, as different genders. So we come into this world with certain proclivities and inclinations. And then culture is like a
Mm-hmm.
layer on top of that. And so then we're told certain things. So as women, there's these two stories, these two promises that we're working off of. We're working off of the promise of your prince will come. We're spoon-fed
Mm-hmm.
Cinderella. Like all
Mm-hmm.
those Disney shows are like the man saves the woman, he's the rescuer, and she just hopes for that day, except for Frozen. I think maybe that's the only one that's not. But other than that, there's mostly, maybe more recently, women are portrayed as the strong person in the Disney show. But still, girls grow up wanting to be the princess, wanting to be beautiful. And you see it. They're like, they put the jewelry on, they're super young, they want the sweet dresses, and then they very young look for the prince, the handsome prince that's going to come
Mm-hmm.
along and save them. But then couple that with what we're told with the feminist movement, and from not even just that, from our moms now, the little girls' moms who are not really feminist necessarily, but they had feminist upbringing from that generation. So they're like, you go, girl, you can do anything, just wake up and be awesome. Like all those sayings that you hear. And yes, we
Mm-hmm.
can, but that's the male energy that we talked about. So we've got this dichotomy within a little girl that's like opposing forces. Like, I want to be rescued. No, I'm really strong. Like I can dominate men. And
It,
it's so
it's
confusing
funny,
for the
even just the
girls.
conversation about like Frozen, where you have Anna and Elsa, where Elsa is the cold sister that things that she touches turns to ice, and she isolates herself, and then Anna is the one that has another prince propose to her, and has all of that love story. So you have me just kind of like thinking about it, don't get involved with a man and expect him to give you children and do all these. Uh, you have to understand your role. If you want to be a strong, independent woman, then you go chase your career, you go do what you need to do, but don't go in and drag a man into it with this allure of a nuclear family and having this side of the story of what you want, and then turn around and be like, actually, I don't want you telling me what to do. I don't want you, I just want you to support your children and let me make all the decisions.
I mean, even her attitude, the cold never bothered me anyway. Like
Ah,
just
I
like
know.
attitude, and it's like
It's,
that alone, it says it all. It's like super male, like it doesn't matter, I've got this,
yep.
and her bumbling beau, whatever, I don't remember his name, but it's like it falls into sort of the way culture is in a sense. And our little girls are loving this show. I mean, they're so all about it. You see them at Halloween in these outfits because they admire these girls, and she's seen as strong, but it doesn't really work.
But is she happy? That's the question. It's like, is
No.
she happy? She's over here singing the song. The cold never bothered me anyway. But yet she's kind of angry. She's kind of sad. She's kind of isolated herself and frustrated with the fact that everything she touches turns to ice. It's like, so do you want to be an ice queen? Is that really what you want? You know?
I see that every day on the school campus, these women that have divorced their husbands, and they are ice queens. I mean,
Yeah,
uh, like even today, I like saw this woman, and I see a lot of them. They look mad. They look
I
angry that
know.
they're put
They're
upon
doing
with
it.
this life.
It's almost a show. Let me just display how angry I am. I'm going to stomp my feet, and then to like something that I see when I take my daughter to school is the dads are pretty happy about it. It's like they're, happy go lucky taking my little girl to school, like, and the moms are all in a hurry. Gosh, I'm not gonna have enough time to get anything done. I only get a few hours.
Totally. I know, I see the dads, and they have such heart. They're like savoring that time with their little child as they, walk them by hand into class. And they're so tender with the child, and it's such a difference in then I see the women, like you're saying, like stomping in, like, like so angry, and like everything in life that they asked for is happening, but they're angry about it. And the
Yeah.
reason is that they don't see the false promise that they're walking into, that they're thinking is the way to be, that we've been told it's the way to be, this strong, badass woman, and then everyone's angry.
It
So,
and it's driving the relationship into the ground. Like this is something that I like literally like face is the you know, here you wanted kids, here you wanted this family and this household, and now you're complaining about it. And so at some point, it just kind of started to wear down on me, and it's like, I'm gonna treat you the way that you're treating me. I want to like give you some sort of like understanding because it's just like none of this seems fair, you know. And I'm over here making the best of a difficult situation, and that's what having, you know, little twins and a toddler at the same time has been like. But it's like when you're carrying around all that anger and frustration, then your partner at some point is just going to be giving you the same thing. It doesn't matter how I treat you or what I do or say, you're still going to have this chip on your shoulder, and it's just not going away. But you're the one that's ultimately having it. Instead of like embracing the beauty of your life, you're just embracing the challenge of it, and you know, and having this, I can take care of this, you know. It's like I can do everything. I got it. But I'm going to complain about it. I'm going to be negative instead of just being like, we have all of this. I can, you know, I will do my best and everything will work out. It's like, you know, we've been raising kids for an eternity, okay? This is not a challenging it's challenging, but it's not as it's not that difficult, you know? And then saying that to my partner or saying that to a partner, my partner's friend, it was like when that made its way back to my partner, it's like that's one of these anger things that she holds on to. It's like, you think that this isn't hard? And I'm like, it's not that it's easy, but you don't have, it's not the most challenging thing, you know? It's like being a mother is not working your fucking ass off. I'm sorry. It's not easy. It requires patience, and there is little downtime for recovery, but it's also wonderful and rewarding, and you have to focus on the joy of it, you know? It's like that's what we have going on, and it's a short period of our life that we get this challenge. So it's like let's enjoy the beautiful the beauty of small children and the challenges because teenagers are coming soon.
Mhm. I see that all the men that I see that are separated or divorced have that sense that you have, that same sense. They're like, okay, I've got this time. It's so precious. And for the women, I think what's going on, if men are usually watching this, so let me explain some stuff. I think what's going on is that because the women have taken on this maleness, this male feeling, this posturing that you can see that they're walking in the world with this male posture, and they feel put upon in a sense being in the male world, even though they told they're supposed to be in the male world doing these things and they are congratulated for it. They still feel put upon because this is not natural for them. This is not natural for them to be posturing like this and taking care of children. It makes it hard for them to do that. Men can do it because men can be men and act like men with their children because they are men, because they compartmentalize how they deal with things. And for women to try to
Hmm.
compartmentalize as men do, it's a struggle with trying to compartmentalize every part of yourself and your life when you're a woman, because women are supposed to be in a group supported by other women where they can complain all day to their women friends. And that's the thing that women do. Women need to complain. But
And it's
when they're
relatable.
in a man's world speaking to their partner, that's not where they need to go. They have no outlet for that anymore. So it comes off in these really terrible dynamics because she's struggling. She doesn't know it, but she thinks that her struggles will be solved by taking more control, and that natural complaining just like goes right toward her partner. So it's that society has set us up in this way where it's difficult for the woman. She doesn't even know what's going on. She has no idea that culture has set her up, but she's trying to fulfill these roles that she's been told. And the husband is the one who's having the hardest time because he is having to take it all and as a problem solver as men are, they're like trying to put together all the pieces, like support her this way, support her that way. I'll do this, honey. I'll do that, honey. Great. Yeah, you go, whatever. I'll do it. And then the woman turns around and is like, seeing him as weak. Like she doesn't actually see him, but she instinctively needs a really strong male who is not emasculated, but she has emasculated him. So it's this circle of like this whole terrible thing that we look at this picture. Well, no one's looking at this picture, so that's why we're talking about it here. Is like we
Yeah.
have to say this, right?
We're kind of glitching out here. I'm not sure.
Okay,
I
I
think I might
think
have lost you.
we lost your pictures, Ellis. So I see you again. Here you are. Let me bring you back. There you are. Okay. So I just, like went off on that, but isn't that picture correct? It's like we culture has caused this horrible disaster for men and women, and it has to be fixed by the woman. Okay, and I don't hear your audio. Let's see. I don't know what's going on with your audio. Sorry, guys, we've got some technical issues, so let me see if I can do something here. Um, you're, let's see, I see you, but I don't hear you. Um, Let me take you down. I'm going to take you down for a second, and then I'm going to put you back in. Okay, let's see. Here you go.
2 1.
There
Are
you
we
are.
there? Can you hear
You're
me?
back. Yes,
Good
everything's
deal.
back. Okay,
Great.
so let's go back to
So
what we were
yes,
saying.
it's totally. I see culture as being a big part of it, and then just it's the push for equality. It's like we're never going to be equals. Let's face it. It's like a woman can do everything a man can do, but a man cannot do everything a woman can do, and we have these different strengths. And what I mean by that is that men can't make babies. This is something that only women can do, and talking to you and just you're talking about how the matriarch has actually been running the show the whole time, and when you do it in your feminine power and your feminine way, it actually makes everybody happier and it's actually more effective. When you try to go and put two men in the control, or two masculine energies, which is what's happening as women take on this masculine role for equality, then you have a lot more forcefulness, where I feel like something you really pointed out was this feminine natured way of manipulating and controlling the family to get like what they need to get done is actually a very beautiful way to go about it. And it's where women have had their strength. And I feel like there's just this like uprisal of like we're not going to do it that way anymore. We're going to take control, and we're going to demand our needs are met the way we want. And
And that is actually having that's less effective with less power than being a matriarch. I see being a
yeah.
matriarch as the way forward. I mean, if we take control in a way where we support the family as the foundation, and everyone feels that support, including the husband. The husband,
Mhm.
I believe, needs our full support, like to say, we're completely behind you, just like a queen is with her king. It's like that's why the
Yeah.
kingdom works. It can't work with a queen being the king. I mean, she can, but then there's no room for the king.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening.
That's exactly what's happening. And I think that the way that society and culture is going, it's like the men are like, well, okay, let's go ahead and give it a try. Like obviously, and not to say that some men are saying let's give it a try, but I think that the reality of it is that actually the relationships are breaking down. That's why we're seeing such a high number of divorce, such a high number of separations before people even get married. It's like people are just dealing with this shift, and it's just impacting. I think it's impacting the families negatively, because then ultimately who's suffering? It's like everyone's suffering. The kids are not getting as much attention. You're trying, like right now, trying to figure out how to go and have two households, and it basically means mom and dad are both going to have to work more. And what's the outcome of that one? Is it's going to be less time, less money, less support for the children. And I'm struggling, have felt the struggle to have more one-on-one time with my twins. It's just there's not enough hours in the day, and the demand is high. And now to go and get, thrown into the idea of having to have a separate household, it's like, I don't think this is going to be better, but it certainly isn't going to be worse than dealing with an angry mother who's never happy. It's like,
Hmm. Yeah,
so, and
and it's never
is
ending.
resentful to any of my ideas about how to conserve energy and focus so that we can have more time for our kids. It's like you don't want to hear my answers, you don't want to hear my solutions, you just want to vent, but then you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, and nothing's getting better, you know, and then I feel like there's this resentment towards me for coming up with solutions that, it's like she's not even going to consider an idea or a solution that I have or a different way of doing something because it wasn't her idea, and part of this, like, being empowered is like not listening to you. It's like
Oh,
I can see you're struggling. I have some ideas of how to minimize this or to make the situation go better, and it's like, no, fuck you.
mhm.
You're not the answer to my, you do not have the answer to my problems. You're not me, obviously. So stop
Yeah. Well, in
complaining.
the big picture, in the big picture, men know that there's a problem. They're just trying to problem solve it, and they're like, okay, I'll just dance around and do all those things. And there's only so much dancing that a man can do because you need two people to make the team work. You need
Hmm.
all people involved to make the team work. And so the children and I think the children and the men are the ones who are the victims here. I think that the women are getting their due, what's due
I
to
think
them.
everybody becomes the victim in this situation. That's ultimately,
Well, yes, that's true.
I do not see my partner being happy,
Right.
like she's more run down than ever. She's just as frustrated. She's still fighting for everything, and it's like I don't see the end. The end is not in sight. I don't know, to me I can clearly see that it's like this is just gonna go on like this for a long time. I don't see it
Yeah.
getting better.
You're so
And
right.
myself,
Everybody's a victim. Mm.
and my own like struggle, it's like, well, I feel like if I find another partner that's somebody who can like be part of my kid's life, then my struggles might get easier. And now it's one of these things where I'm like, I've been attracted to and like a strong independent woman. And now that I'm dealing with the wrath of one, it's like, no, actually I want to have a very nurturing matriarch female in my life as a partner, somebody who uh, you know, is sees things the way that you do.
Hmm. And those are not mutually exclusive to be someone who's a nurturer and being strong and independent. Because if you look at Michelle Obama,
Yeah.
or certain people who put aside, I mean, she has a law degree, she's completely capable of doing so many things, but she focused on her family. She
Yeah.
helped get her husband, into the White House and did everything to support that. And so we as women, if there's any women here, we can have like great power. It's just that when we look at the big picture, do we want to do that, in spite of our, or like to have that but hurt our families? Or why not just shift things where we're actually supporting the family so we can all be happy, where we can all do what we can and to like be our greatest, each one of us,
Yeah.
rather than just the woman having her turn to be great. So I
Well,
think it's a switch of that perspective.
and I think something that's really important for people to look at in their relationships is where the strengths, which partner has which strengths. And it's like in order for the team to like win, the team being the family, it's like, okay, if like my partner has lots of experience with the healthcare system and insurance and a lot of these aspects, so it's like let me go in, like, you run with, you take care of these aspects, and I can focus more of my energy you know, on work and developing my business and trying to bring us more income and working towards long-term goals, and just recognizing, like, different people are going to have different, strengths. I'm, really enjoy cooking and am good with, you know, coming up with creative meals for my kids and making that fun. Not that my partner isn't good at those things, but it's like, okay, so we're gonna just let's utilize the things that we excel at and our strengths and skills so that the whole team and the family can be in a better place, and let's not be so focused on everyday equality. Let's be focused on like how do we get our bigger goal family where we want to be. How do we get ourselves into a home we own, and having the ability to focus on our bigger life goals and our bigger dreams instead of
Hmm.
trying to have this daily struggle to have equality in the household where it's like, you know what, we can both be spending our energy working on, healthcare and making sure that everybody has their paperwork taken care of, or it's like one person you can, one person can take care of the things that they know more about.
Yeah, I just want to point out something as a way forward. And what I want to point out is the frameworks. We're talking about two different frameworks, and this is sort of like a logic type thing. If you think about what we're talking about is the man and the woman and the antagonistic relationship as this tug of war, where the woman wants, she's like, I want mine. And then it's like, then he needs to get time for himself. And so we've got that dynamic, which is one framework. Then we have the other framework that is the team. So the team, I've talked about this before, if it's done well, it's not 50-50 that makes the whole, it's 80-80, which crosses over. And so if the team is pulling more for each one is teammate is pulling more for each other, then everyone's covered completely and like feels really, really covered and supported. So when you think about those two different dynamics, one framework versus another, there's a choice. But the women don't know that they have a choice. They've been told they have to pull. They have to
Hmm.
pull and fight for what they want. That's the
and
feminist like
and
fight.
and and part of this, I think where some of the entitlement comes from is that it's like, okay, well, if the mother is if it's the mother's job to mother the children and to take care of the children, their job never ends. And so to go and have that nuclear dichotomy where the man is going to work and the woman's taking care of the kids, it's like the woman's like, I never get to clock out. And the man is like, well, I went and worked, the modern father, it's like, well, I worked all day and then I come home and I'm helping with the kids to help relieve you. And it's just there neither running a family, there is no clocking out. But I think that some of this like entitlement that we're referencing comes to this like, like my partner was asking for more money for bills even though we're separated. And I was like, all right, we're gonna have to both like step our game up. I'm gonna put, I gotta hustle harder. And she's like, I fucking work my ass off every day. And it's like, I'm not saying that you're not, but it's like, okay, we need to generate more. You gotta work on generating more money, and so do I, because that's what we have to do now that we're having two households. It's not my responsibility to generate more money for two households. It's our responsibility. We both have to be able to take care of ourselves and the kids, and that is, a choice that was forced on me.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so that entitlement is like, you're working your ass off too, obviously, because you only have so many others hours in the day and you need to take care of the children. So it's not like her day is so much harder than your or her life is so much harder than yours, but she's asking you to do more for her because you're the man. So there's the Cinderella promise of
yeah,
rescue me at play, but at the same time, no, I'm Elsa and I'm going to have it my way.
yeah,
Like, so we've got these two storylines that are going
and it's
where the
like,
women are falling into these pitfalls of these promises and they don't even know it. They don't even know that what they're playing out. And then their girlfriends are like, yeah, you go, girl, you ask for that extra money. It's like, well, why should this man who's busting his butt like work even harder? Why don't you both get together and work hard together or work hard separately but toward the
yeah.
same goal? Like
Well,
That's what makes
and
sense.
it's a funny one for me because my days off are like spending time with my kids, and they recharge me. Like I spend 2 or 3 days with my kids, and I am like in a great mood. I'm happy. I'm recharged. Where it's like spending 4 or 5 days with the kids for her is like I need a break. I need to go work, and it's like how do we create the balance there, and I think a lot of it just has to do with the shifting. The thing that we have control is our own thoughts and feelings and how we react. That's the only thing that you really have any control over in life is how you react.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely just trying to not react to so many of the situations because I realize that when I try to speak my truth or point out the facts from my perspective, it is like playing with fireworks. You never know when they're going to go off in your hand, but Lord knows you're going to get burned.
Well, like you said, the bottom line is shifting your perspective. And in my opinion, with what I see, with all the men that I've talked to and all the dynamics that I've watched happen where marriages are imploding and families are imploding, is that the women need to shift their perspective, soften, and come into the strength of the matriarch and support the entire family as a team. I know we've said that a zillion times, but I just wanted to state that again because this is the answer. It starts with the woman dropping into the matriarch strength and becoming a team player. That
Hmm.
is the only way I see it shifting. Like the
And
man can't do it alone.
it also makes a woman more attractive to me. I think that if women are dealing with that struggle, that's something they can realize of like, hey, bring it back into your matriarch power, bring it back into your feminine control. Use what you have. Use your lure and your magic and your happiness is going to have way more effect than trying to force things.
And it's not in manipulating magic because I know that there's some that do that, but it's the natural feminine nurturing. The three things that men need from the woman are being the queen, having his back, being the nurturing mother, and then the third is the enchantress, the one who's playful and fun and can play with the kids as well as flirt with him still.
I
And
forgot
if
what that's
we
like.
fall into I'm sure like many men forget about what that's like because
Hmm.
women are so hard. They've lost the enchantress. So that magic is gone. The that softness, the mother and the magic is like gone because they're the ice queen. The cold never bothered me anyway, because they're like, I'm taking over, and that's not going to work for the family. So if women want to shift the fact that our families are imploding and this will help them stop being put upon and exhausted if they step into the power of the matriarch. That's all
Hmm.
it is. It's just a shift of understanding. So I feel like we've sort of wrapped it up here. I mean, I feel like
Hmm.
that's really the essence of what we're talking about. And that entitlement piece will just dissolve because women, listen, you will find your strength in being the matriarch rather than grasping for those things that you think that you need that will make you feel like I deserve this. Well, you will
Hmm.
get that tenfold from your man if you are pouring out in the team way your 80%,
Yeah.
right?
And it's gonna feel so much better because it's like it's gonna come to you naturally, and it's just one of those things that's like trying to ask for an apology just devalues any apology you're ever given. Whereas if you're just able to patiently persevere through this, you're going to get what it is you want without demanding it, and then it's going to come from a genuine space that's going to actually make it feel way better than anything that you're getting out of demand.
Mhm. I agree. Well, I think we should wrap up today, but I love what we've been talking about. This is really powerful. I
Hmm.
hope that whomever is watching this, that you share this with your friends because so many men are, and women and children are really hurting because of this dynamic. And I think next week would be really cool, Zealous, if we talked about how this is affecting the children.
Yeah.
I think that that's a natural. next step to go into,
Yeah.
because
I got
it's
lots of
really
experience to talk about with that with my three little ones.
exactly. All right. So this is Conversations with Men that women would want and should want to hear. We are here every Thursday, and we will see you next week. Thanks for being here. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Bye. Okay, I got to do my thing with producing this show now.